Hello, hello. Welcome to Conversations with the Future, where we interview ambitious teens with big dreams and inspire you to start working towards your dream career while you're in high school. My name is Okey, and I will be your host for this show. Stay tuned because you are not going to want to miss this. Hello, hello. Welcome to Conversations with the Future. We've had a little bit of a break, but I'm so happy to see you guys again. Welcome and happy new year. Happy 2024. I'm super excited because today I'm going to be interviewing someone very special, someone very accomplished. Her name is Charlotte. And Charlotte is an amazing person for several reasons. She's a very kind person, she's a very hardworking person. But today we're going to be talking specifically about her accomplishments in athletics. She has committed to play Division One hockey at the University of Wisconsin. She's won gold in 2023 at the U18 Women's World Championships and so many more amazing athletic and sports accomplishments that we're going to be diving deeper in today. I don't know too much about Charlotte because we're just now becoming very nice friends. So this will not only be an opportunity for me to introduce you to Charlotte, but this will also be an opportunity for me to learn more about her and for you guys all to learn more about her as well. So, without further ado, let's get into the interview and let Charlotte introduce herself and tell us a little bit more about who she is.
Hi everybody, I'm super excited to be here today. I'm from Toronto. I'm a boarder at Ridley College and it's my fourth year here. I also have a twin brother and he's a big time rower, so we're both very tall. I play hockey as well as I row, and I'm just super excited to be here today with you guys and to tell you a little bit more about my story and to kind of get into it and like what the hockey world is like.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm really happy that you're here. So, without further ado, let's just get right into the interview. The first question that I have for you is to just tell us a little bit more about yourself. Tell us about your cultural background, perhaps, where and how you grew up, where you live, your early learning experience, and just everything related to who you are so that people can get a better sense of the person that's in front of the camera today.
Mhm. So I'm actually a part German and part English. My grandparents grew up in Germany, grew up in Poland around like the war times. They came over to Canada, had my father, and my father started rowing and started his journey, so then he kind of embedded sports into my life. I've kind of been all over Toronto growing up and Mississauga in the GTA, and just kind of all over Ontario playing sports. And I have a twin brother, as I said, so we're both 18 years old and headed off to university the year after next. And I'm just a super family friend person, so I love hanging out with them whenever I can. And it's kind of like what I love to do. It makes me smile every day. Um, as I said, I go to school at Ridley College now. My brother actually goes here as well, and I live with my father most of the time during the summer, and my mom as well. But he's kind of the person to drive me a lot of places to practice and stuff, like a lot of parents do for their kids around Toronto. And it's just a fun time growing up. That's all I can say about that.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for telling us a little bit more about your story. It's definitely been fascinating. Um, can you tell us a little bit more about when you first started playing sports and your early experiences in sports?
So I first started hockey. I have to say around grade one. So I was playing sports like since I was like one years old. I was in ballet, soccer, karate, baseball, everything, every sport you could possibly think of, I was playing. And then one day during the summer, my father was signing my brother up for a summer hockey camp, and I walked in. I was like, "Hey, I want to do that as well." So we both ended up starting at the summer hockey camp, and I ended up picking it up and loving it. And so I started with hockey for 3 or 4 years. And when I got to grade three, I finished a practice, and my father told me, he's like, "Do you want to do this? It's just not if you want to play this, but do you want to have this part of your life?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to do that." So we kind of started on the journey to like make me the hockey player I wanted to be and to make me the athlete I wanted to be. Because it was kind of like that moment of, yes, that's the person I want to be, so we're gonna work for it.
That's amazing. That's very interesting. Yeah, I always hear like these types of like top athletes, these very passionate athletes, they start like sports very early and they they have a lot of motivation that has started from a very early age. And I can see that a lot in what you've been talking about with your conversations with your dad and how he's like, do you really want to do this? Do you want to commit to this? And I love that because I know it takes so much commitment and so much effort to be a top performance athlete. So definitely I know there's a lot of people in the audience who are aspiring to have these types of amazing elite sports accomplishments. So definitely talking to you and getting your insights is probably going to be very valuable for a lot of people. So let's keep going. I want to ask you a little bit more about your aspirations for the future. So, your university plans, your dream career. Do you plan to pursue hockey as a career or just in college? Tell us a little bit more about your future goals.
So I'm super excited to be headed to the University of Wisconsin in 2 years. It's actually been a dream of mine since I was really little. I remember having like the background on my phone was the University of Wisconsin's logo, and it's like that's where I want to be when I want to grow up and I want to play hockey there. So I'm gonna have a great 4 years there and just work my butt off and hopefully join some senior national teams and the U23 national team from there. But after that, they just started a new hockey league called the PWHL, so the Professional Women's Hockey League, and you can get paid and have a full time job there now, which is super exciting because we didn't have that before. So a league that you can kind of go to and just watch your idols play and in Toronto watch the Olympians play. It's super exciting and they inspire me and they led the path for us. So now we have to take that over and lead it for them and lead it for the generations that are coming.
For
So
sure.
that's what I want to go into and somewhere in the I want to coach, I want to just inspire the next generation.
That's amazing. So, maybe I misheard you, but when you said you're going to the University of Wisconsin in 2 years, or
Um, so I finished this year, and then I'm in grade 12, and then I'm taking a gap year. So I'll still be at Ridley for one more year, taking less classes, but to really focus on developing my hockey and my game, and to have more experience for when I go into the university.
that's amazing. Is that something that a lot of people going into sports normally do, or is that something special like to you?
It's pretty common, not necessarily for hockey players, but basketball players all the time, and especially in male athletes, they'll be going in 2, 3 years after they finish high school. Female athletes usually go in the year like they finish, but most like half of them, or like at least maybe a third of them, might go in a year after just to get more experience for them and to make sure you're playing minutes when you get in there. You're not just sitting on the bench the entire time.
That makes sense. I really like that idea. You know, because I always like when I was younger, right? I always thought that you graduate from high school, you go to university. Like what's the what's these gaps? But I think that makes a lot of sense, right? If you're
Mhm.
going to be like going into sports and you really want to take time to develop your game, develop your athletic skills, it is worthwhile to take a gap if that's what is necessary for your journey and if you've consulted the right people and the right institutions to make that possible. So I think that's a really smart thing to do. And I just think I just think it's kind of showing like the different pathways, right, that you can take. It's not only one way. There's so many different ways that are available to you. So yeah. My next question that I have for you is what or who inspired you to pursue hockey at the top level?
So when I was a kid, I was kind of leaning off my brother. And then throughout the years, obviously, my dad's driving me to practice everywhere. You get those inspirational speeches on the way to games or good
Yeah.
luck next time on the way home. But they kind of pushed me to be the best version of myself. Those days where you don't want to get out of bed or they drag you up. Those days where you've already worked out twice. No, you're going two more times. Come on. It's just those people that push you to be better and that you can train with and be yourself. So I remember just in the summers, even like I was probably in grade 7, I was just lifting weights with my dad every day. He led me, he showed the example, and then I followed. So now I can see it of how he motivated me, and he was doing that not necessarily, but because he wanted to, but because he knew that he had to do it for me to do it, and like leading by example, just showing his
Yes.
leadership and everything he's done has truly shown me what it takes to be a top athlete, and having those 2, 3, 4 days or those 5 hour training sessions, that it's so important and that you can actually do it, but it's going to take hard work. And then those, like him and my brother, they've just been there for me every step, and it's so important to see that they exceed too and that they're excelling, and then
Yeah.
it kind of just brings us all together as a family.
That's amazing. Actually, you mentioned that like so your dad is like an athlete too, right? He so like when he was younger, he also participated in competitive sports as well.
So he was a national team rower. So he actually went to Harvard and he rowed there for 4 years.
Oh,
And he won. He was like the best rower in Canada when he was 19 or 17.
wow.
He was coach of the year. He kind of just they did everything right in those steps and showed me that it's possible to be at the top, possible to be the best athlete. So he's more ripped than I am right now. He has more muscle. He's almost 60 and he's still crushing it. So it's cool to have an inspirational person like that, just like leading and guiding you the whole way.
That's amazing. And so on that, I just wanted to ask like because I know like there's a lot of people who they don't have parents that play sports. They don't have parents who are almost 60 and they're still able to lift weights. Like some people, they have parents that I don't know, they have careers where they're I don't know, using a computer most of the time, where they're not really as invested in athletics. And so I guess I'm asking you, what would you suggest to people who don't necessarily have those role models and kind of have to kind of lead their own way? What would you suggest for that?
Yeah, so I know a few of those people, and they're on my team. They're my closest friends. Just find a friend that you can lean on to support you. Anyone, your teammate, your coach. Every person can find that one person, even if it's not your parents, and you can have them pick you up. They're the ones that you're gonna call if you need help with something. So it's really about just having that one special person in your life that can guide you, even if it's not your parents. Because when you don't want to work out one day that one friend's gonna come bring you with them. And
Yeah,
if your parents are just working all the time, you're alone, you don't really have a support system. When you come to practice, your team is your support system. So hockey really embodies that, like that friendship mentality and that family mentality, and that's one thing I love about it. It's just that every person you meet is now part of your new family. So it's like no one's left hanging, no one's left on the side. And if they are like that, then we're just gonna come and bring them into our little bubble. And it definitely takes a lot of hard work and mentally it's tough for them, but on the mental side, everybody has their struggles, and just kind of pushing through that and finding a barrier that you can break down, and it really helps just to lean on that one person.
that's amazing. Thank you so much for that advice. I'm sure a lot of people and me really appreciate that. So yeah, now I'm gonna ask you, um, because I want to highlight some of your accomplishments because you're a very accomplished athlete. The first time that I kind of really learned about how much you've done and like how accomplished you are in sports is when at the end of the year last year, Mr. Kidd, who is our headmaster for our school, he presented to three people the headmaster's tie, and he was giving it to people with outstanding accomplishments, not just in the school but outside of school, internationally. And he gave it to you, and I'm like, oh, why did she get it? And one of the key accomplishments that you have is being able to play hockey on Team Canada, which is a very huge deal, especially at your young age. And so I wanted to ask you, like, can you explain the process that you had to take in order to become a part of Team Canada for hockey, and also talk about any other like big hockey accomplishments and stories that you can share?
Yeah, I have a ton of stories, but being on Hockey Canada is probably like one of the most thrilling, exciting times of your life. It's it's where you're the most happy, but it's also like the hardest team in the world to get on. So for me, the process started after grade 11, and I was invited to their under 18 selection camp because all year you see scouts at your games for everything. Like Canada's watching, you have to be on your game. It's exciting because it pushes you to play better.
Yeah.
But when I got that email, I was like, I literally started crying and jumping with joy. I called up my friends. I was like, I just got it. I'm going to camp. But
Wow.
from there, the process started there. So I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really know what it was like to train hard until I got that email. Because I went to a program after that called BTNL, so beyond the next level. And I was training 5, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week in the summer. And before that, I didn't think I was capable of doing that. I was like, what? Like 2 hours a day, maybe. But it's the thing that pushed me past that. It's like, no, you can actually do that. You can do 6 hours a day and you're gonna feel good. And it made me such a better athlete and it pushed me mentally. And it just made me like the person that I know I can go out there and I know I can be the fastest person on the ice right now. And then I got to the Team Canada selection camp, and that was so stressful because even though you're competing against your friends, you're also competing against them. Like you want the spot on that team, and
Yeah.
it's so stressful. But you're in a bubble with 40 girls, and you know that no matter what happens, each one of those girls helped you become the best self you could ever be.
Yeah.
So it's truly amazing being at those camps because they all want the same common goal, and just being with every single one of them made me like such a better player in person. And I just saw the work ethic that each person took and the different paths that they took, and that got to me to where I am. And then the key thing that I was told at the camp was to know your role. So know who you are, even if you're going to sit on the bench all game, that's fine. Be the biggest hype man you can be. Be the best person you can be on the bench to make sure that every single person who goes out has the best shift that they've ever taken. So that really encouraged me to kind of know who I am on the ice, whether that's sitting in front of the net and blocking and screening shots or tipping shots and just passing the pucks to people who are faster, and just accepting what my dynamic and role was on the team let me get onto those teams. It helped me become the player that I was known for, and that really helped. So going into my season after camp, after like played a series against the states, I my biggest concern was making the world championship team for 2023. So with that, it took a lot. It was a lot. It was really stressful, but it was a good kind of stress because you knew that you got this and you have the power to make this team. So it was just truly inspiring that I am like thinking back and thinking about songs that say like think about like where you were 3 years ago. And it's like I wouldn't like little me would not think she was here today. Like these are moments you dream of, but you don't actually know if they're gonna happen. So it's pretty
Exactly.
cool just to see it like actually unfold and happen. And then to be on the team, it's a truly rewarding experience. And then I got injured after March, so I wasn't playing for about 8 months. So coming into 2024, actually, so November of 2023, I played my first game in 8 months after being out for a while, missing summer camp, missing the rivalry series.
Oh,
So
dear.
I wasn't on the summer team this year because I was injured. And then my main concern was getting back to make the world championship team for 2024. I didn't care if I played, how I did it. I was like, I know I deserve to be here. I know what my role is on the ice, and I can do it. So I worked my butt off when I got back, and I made the championship team. And even though we got bronze this year, like this tournament has a place in my heart because I know of the struggles that it took to get here. So it like everything happens for a reason. Like when I was injured, that line to me didn't make much sense. But it's like, well, you now like you know why it makes more sense because you worked harder. You now know that pain of not being able to play, and you can use that pain to just push you further now in your sports.
That's incredible. Those are such amazing stories. I really love, like, I knew you were gonna like say like very fascinating things, but I didn't realize it'd be this fascinating because I didn't even know that anything about like the camp and how like you had to do a camp in order to be selected and making the world championship team. I'm particularly very impressed that even after 8 months of not being able to play, you still were able to make it onto the world championship team. I think that's very impressive because there were people who got to practice and play all throughout that time, right? So that really shows your resilience. And I know that injuries, like for athletes, are a big deal. I can imagine it's very painful, like you said, to not be able to play. But like you said, you channeled that pain into pushing you further, into doing better. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that's something that a lot of aspiring top athletes need to keep in mind. They need to have resilience even when they have injuries, even when they don't win, if they don't get a medal or anything like that. They have to use that, I don't know, if it's anger or if it's, I don't know, that passion to fuel them to do even better in the future. I think that's how you, I think kind of, that's how you get through the difficult
Oh,
times,
oh yeah.
and that's how
Mhm.
you get to the top. So, yeah, I also wanted to ask you, especially considering the fact that you've talked a lot about hockey, there are a lot of people that play more than one sport, and you're one of those people. You're both a hockey player and you're a rower, like you mentioned, as well as your brother. And not only do you have these amazing accomplishments in hockey, but you're also part of the rowing team at our school that won the gold medal at the Canadian Secondary School Rowing Association Championships. So, for people who are talented in many sports like you, I'd like you to describe like how you decided that hockey was the ultimate path for you because you also had this other sport that you're really good at as well. So, how did you decide on which one you wanted to pursue long term?
Yeah, so that's a question I get quite often, and people are asking why not row in university. And it's for me, it's quite simple. It's that hockey is like my number one love. It's my deepest passion I've like ever. Like if I'm in class, I'm watching film tape. So that's who I am, and that's what I'm doing. So when I started rowing, it was to help my hockey, and it was to make me stronger on the ice. Because like rowing's fun for me, it's fun, but it does conflict with like hockey season. So half the time I'm not at a rowing practice because I'm at hockey, but then I kind of convert over to rowing in the springtime and do my best for my crew and for the school and for the boat that I'm in. But for me, it was quite simple. And hockey has so many different pathways you can take after university as well. And there are more activities, more games. For example, hockey could have like 40 games in a season, while rowing could only have 5 races. And you have a more like social environment in the hockey season. It's more fun for me, and it's the sport I've been playing since I was 5 6 years old. So it's literally my deepest love, no matter what.
I see. Okay, so that makes sense then. I guess it really just came down to what interests you more, what are you more passionate about, and what has more opportunities available to you. So that's that's a good. I guess that's a good way to distinguish like your passion from what you're really good at, or distinguishing between two different interests and which one to pursue long term. I know that like for athletes, making decisions for your future is. I can imagine it's really scary. Is it scary to kind of like to commit to a path?
It's not as scary as stressful. Or honestly, the commitment process in picking a school was incredibly stressful, and I was a lot of athletes are glad that the commitment process is over because you're talking to a lot of schools. You're not trying to hurt schools by saying no, but so it's scary at first. And then it's scary to have your first call at like 16 years old. You're calling universities and seeing where you want to go. But after you visit the school, you can really like find your home. And for me, I was visiting schools, and then until I visited Wisconsin, I was like, this is it. The second the plane landed, I got into the airport. I was like, this is my new home. I'm here. Like this is like I knew this is where I wanted to be. So it's pretty simple to find like where you belong, but it can be really stressful. So I remember the car rides with my dad, just like thinking of like where I wanted to go and just like pitting it out, pitting like the pros and cons of each school and each program. So you kind of really have to. People are choosing universities in grade 12, and they're seeing like where they want to go. it's a similar process. It's a little bit more difficult since there are coaches and teams involved, but it's a little bit more stressful than it is scary, but it's exciting at the end.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so my next question for you is kind of just to ask, how do you maintain the balance between academics and athletics? We don't have too much time left, but I really want you to answer this question because I know
yeah.
that it's a lot to balance, especially playing at the top level, but also it may being able to maintain grades that you're happy with and that can keep you on a good path as a student. So tell us a little bit about that balance that you've been able to maintain throughout your time in high school.
So it's incredibly hard. And at Ridley, it's even harder. Um, people always tell me that like when you get to university, it's literally going to feel so much easier because of your workload and the driving that you do in high school. So I leave school around 4:30. I don't return till 10, 11 p.m. sometimes later. So while everybody's studying at night, I'm still practice on the road. So you have to really use your time wisely. And for me, taking a gap year helped because I was able to reduce my course load. So I have 1 to 2 spares in a day that I can use for my studying. I go into the learning center. I just sit down and study, kind of shut the world out, put my headphones in, and I know what I have to do. And sometimes, like this is like being a student athlete is all about sacrifice. It's about knowing what you want and going out to get it. So I don't care if I miss a meal with my friends or if I miss a party. I don't go to parties. It's not a thing for me. It's not like a student athlete lifestyle. So it's just really about managing your time wisely. And um, last year it got really hard since I was away a lot and I missed full days of school very often. So I didn't really know how to manage my time wisely until I got to this year. And I actually used the people around me to help. Last year I was positive that to do it all by myself, but you don't. You can use your advisors, your KP in the learning center. You can use those people to help you out, and it really lessens your anxiety and your workload. You can really just focus in on what the little tasks you have to do and stop thinking about what's due in 2 weeks. Just get the things done that you know you need to get done, that you're able to get done, and then the rest will just work itself out.
Okay, that's very good advice. So yeah, use the resources that are around you. Um, Use your time very wisely. And I guess the takeaway from what you've kind of said is that there isn't necessarily a way to make it easy necessarily, but there's a way to lessen the burden, and you have to use the
Yeah.
resources around you in order to do that. Would you say that like did were there any like kind of online resources that you used or productivity like applications that helped you to kind of like organize your day, like, oh, this is what I have, this game, this test, this day? Did you kind of use things like that or?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of notes and just my apps and notes, and I use that all the time. It helps me just like kind of calm down and decompress, and I can write everything down that I need. So I have like sticky notes on my laptop, and sometimes they're just inspirational quotes, but most of the time it's things I have to do in each day. And then I also use my team schedule and everything. I kind of have that all kind of mapped out in my head since I know like this team schedule stays the same for every week, and like games will change. So usually I lose my study time on the weekends, and for me that's fine because I'm living my best life when I'm out on the ice. So I don't care if I'm studying or not. I just know what I want to be doing. And then some online resources. I mean, just reaching out to teachers on Teams helps. And then TigerNet. Just I was not the biggest user of TigerNet last year, and until I got to grade 12, and I realized really started going through everything because if the work builds up, and especially when you get to February, March, it's the most stressful time when you're doing your mocks and exams, just getting ready for like the end of the year curriculum. It gets it's the most stressful time for a student athlete, and it's just kind of getting your work done before practice, but just kind of being calm with it, going to people for help, and if like I have a whiteboard in my room and I kind of write everything that I need to write on, and it like really preps me for the next day. It just helps me relax, and it's like, you know what, I got this.
Yes, That's incredible. Thank you. Thank you. That's so amazing. So yeah, um, we're getting to the end already. I'm so shocked at how like much time has passed, but I really also really appreciate all of the different insights that you've gained, the stories that you've told, the advice that you've given. But I just wanted to end this episode off by just asking you to give one like big piece of advice that you have to your fellow teenagers who want to pursue sports like professionally or at the top level.
Yeah. So my dad told me this quote, and it's a quote I live by. It's on my wall, it's on everything, and it says, "Don't ever ring the bell." So if you heard this, it was an army guy, and he was talking about Navy SEALs, and if you rang the bell, it means that you were out of camp. Like you chose to go home, you chose to quit. So he
Right.
told his people never ever to ring the bell. And it just means don't ever get off the ice if the session gets tough. Don't ever stop working because it's your biggest motivator, but it's also things that break other people. You might be breaking, but the person beside you, the person in the crew but next to you is breaking even more. So never ever quit. You don't know where everybody else is in the picture, and then you might be miles ahead of somebody when you think you're miles behind them.
That's amazing. So I guess you're saying that we should, never ring the bell, never give up, just keep committed to what you're doing, and that will lead to many different accomplishments. So thank you so much for your time, Charlotte. I know you're a really busy person, a student, an athlete, a dreamer, someone who works really hard, a committer. What other words can I use to describe you? I don't know, someone who's very driven and someone who knows what she wants and goes after it. So, thank you so much for all of the insights that you've given us today. I just want to remind everybody that when we're looking at trying to get top accomplishments in sports, like this very accomplished athlete has told us, your mindset is key. You need to be motivated and you can't give up, and you need to use the resources around you, use the people around you as support, use the people around you to help you to manage your time so that you're able to achieve all of your different accomplishments that you want. And in the end, everything is going to work great for you. So, thank you so much, Charlotte. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to Conversations with the Future today. My name is Okey, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.